I've had some time to use my Hexclad set and really get a feel for how the pots and pans behave. Whether or not you love Hexclad or you think it's a gimmick, the fact is a lot of folks are buying the products. So let me give you a beginner's guide on Hexclad and what to expect. At the end of the video, I'll give you my final verdict on whether or not I can personally recommend Hexclad and if I'll still be using them. Let's dive in. So there are a few things to know about Hexclad, and if you're thinking about buying them or if you already bought them. Some of it's due to the way they are marketed, and other stuff is just through experience with other pots and pans, and of course materials. Here's what I've learned over the last 9 months or so of using Hexclad, and some of the things you should know or look out for. First off, Hexclad is very well built. And I think the quality is as great as any other reputable brand out there, for example, like Hexclad. A few things that I've noticed that may or may not bother you. For example, in the Hexclad or Hex design, it tends to make a really awful scraping sound when you use metal utensils. And it's very loud, very noticeable. And if you're like me and you have a baby at home, it's kind of cringe. Also, with my first impressions, I loved the handle design. And over time, actually, I found it to be a bit short and kind of slippery. The chrome finish does tend to get very slippery, so a towel while cooking is highly recommended. And although the curvature I find to be ergonomical because it fits my large hands like a glove, it can be improved both on the grip and keeping your hands away from the flames. Also, the pans are a bit shallow, which does aid in searing, but it won't do you any favors if you have the slightest amount of liquid in them. So just keep an eye on the pans because they are shallow. Overall, these pans are very well balanced though. Later on, I'll talk about the unique hex design and the non-stick properties. So here's a few tips to give you a successful experience with Hexclad. Like most non-stick pans coated with Teflon or whatever, you should season Hexclad cookware before first use, and it may be worthwhile to re-season it if performance is lacking after some time. Follow the manufacturer's directions, but it usually consists of adding high smoke point oil and heating the cookware on the stove under medium heat until the oil begins to smoke, and then turning off the heat and allowing the pan to cool. Then wipe away the oil, rinse off the pan, and you should be good to go. Keep in mind, set your expectations because these are hybrid pans and not true non-stick pans. Which brings me to my second tip. It's not a no fat or no cooking pan, which basically means the pan will cook food without any fat, any butter, any oil, anything like that. I personally don't like that silly method at all, but that's for another video. These pans require some oil or fat to get significant non-stick benefits out of them. Not as much as regular stainless steel pans, but some oil, often very, very little. Likewise, here's a couple of tips on temperature control. You do not need to crank the heat on these pans, or really, very rarely on most pans. The Hexclad pots and pans are a 3-ply construction and are very responsive to temperature change, like 3-ply stainless steel. I found that they are most happiest at around medium to medium low heat. And yes, that's plenty of heat for searing. With any pan, it's more important to properly preheat the pan and then control your temperatures than it is to heat the pan at the highest setting or the highest heat possible quickly. Even in restaurant settings, they may start off with high heat because they're cooking very, very fast, but of course, they mind their temperatures and adjust accordingly based on what they're cooking. So if you are a beginner, start small. Medium to medium low should get you going just fine. Lastly, Although manufacturers, including Hexclad, will tell you that their products are dishwasher safe, don't do it. Respect your tools. Hand washing will always help prolong your cookware. Okay, now let's talk about the hex design and the nonstick properties. So this cookware is somewhere in between stainless steel and nonstick cookware. Hexclad claims to borrow the best features of both into one hybrid design. I'll give you my opinions on that a bit later and whether or not it's true or not. What I can tell you is Hexclad's design does allow you to make more mistakes and recover quicker than a regular stainless steel pan. You can expect some nonstick benefits with a bit less effort, but this pan is not a miracle worker. You still have to do your part and mind the fundamentals of cooking. Now, moving on to some of my concerns and things that you should be aware of. I still have the same concerns as I did when I first reviewed Hexclad. The warranty is very vague regarding the nonstick coating and the hex design, if it's actually covered or not. Their definition of normal wear and tear doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. The company should firm up the warranty and clear the air once and for all. Any signs of scratching, peeling, lifting, or separating is not normal wear and tear with any nonstick pan, and the pan should be thrown out or replaced immediately. I don't believe Hexclad should be treated any differently. Toxic fumes can be released when Teflon is damaged, and likewise, excessive heat both on the stovetop and inside the oven can also do the same. Since I've had my Hexclad cookware design though, I've used it exclusively, and actually I put away my favorite copper core set so I wouldn't be tempted to shift back. I've put all the pots and pans to the test within the manufacturer's specifications, and they have held up very, very well. I don't see any scratches or peeling in the last 9 months or so since I've used them, but of course, your mileage may vary. But mine so far has been fine. I'm very interested in seeing what happens after a year and a half or two, because that's when most non-stick pans tend to fail. So, do I recommend Hexclad? The pans are well made, but pricey. I personally will always recommend the big three: cast iron, carbon steel, and stainless steel. I don't see what Hexclad accomplishes that my stainless steel pans don't. And yes, I can turn off my brain a bit with Hexclad, but with my cast iron, carbon steel, and stainless steel pans, I'm so familiar with them and the fundamentals of cooking. In general, it's became almost second nature to me. And I don't feel the need to simplify anything because it's already great. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's how the saying goes, right? I know that there's always going to be a group of folks out there that have no interest in learning how to properly cook, and nonstick pans will always catch their interest. Nonstick pans do still have a place in the kitchen toolbox, but I try to limit them to one pan and certain special uses. I don't like how dangerous they can be when damaged, and oftentimes you can't see it with the naked eye. And I don't like how they affect the environment with forever chemicals. If Hexclad could truly outlast the typical non-stick pan's lifespan of a year and a half to 2 years, and let's say significantly by 10 years or so, and they honor their coating and hex design, no questions asked, in their lifetime warranty, then Hexclad is a great option, and I would highly recommend them for folks out there that won't consider anything else but non-stick, because Hexclad can produce great cooking results. I personally have enjoyed my journey with Hexclad, but this is where I'm getting off, and I'll be returning to my copper core set. Now, I'm still probably going to keep one pot and pan and continue to use them from time to time, mainly because out of curiosity. I do want to see how long the coating truly lasts. Other than that, they sure are popular, and they are marketed very, very well. Ultimately, it's up to you to decide if Hexclad is right for you, but I do hope this video was helpful in guiding you in that journey. One last thing, if you found this video informative or entertaining, please consider subscribing and joining our channel memberships to help support our channel so we can continue making videos like this one. Take care, everybody.